guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I'll finally be able to convince my husband to come on the show. What do you have to say?
Hi.
Yeah, he's not shy, but he's trying to be shy. So he has something beautiful to tell us today. Stay tuned and enjoy. Thank you so much for watching.
Hi, subscribers. You've really done a great thing in turning my wife to a new person. She's passionate about this. I'm not as passionate as she is, but I'm supporting her in my best way, in a little way I can.
Are you sure?
I'm here right now anyway. And last night we were discussing some things in our home during our family devotion. Maybe next time you see me, I'll be talking more on that. It's a story about Zacchaeus in Luke chapter 19. While we were discussing it, some of the stuff I learned in my school this last semester came to my mind, and I just thought about it like I could share it with you people. In case you don't know, I'm a student at Canadian Southern Baptist Seminary. I'm studying my Master's of Divinity, and I just finished my second semester of 6. So I still have 2 more years to go.
Yeah, 2 more years to go.
It's been awesome. It's been a great experience. Learning more about God, learning more about our faith. You can check out the website of the school if you intend to know more about your faith and God, csbs.ca. Now, what I want to share with you is from Matthew chapter 5 verse 13. Here, it's a passage that is popularly known as Sermon on the Mountain. Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7. It's a long message that Jesus taught the people. In verse 13, he called us the salt of the earth. He says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt should lose its taste, how can it be made salty? It's no longer good for anything, but to be thrown out and trampled up under people's feet. You know, I said this is from one of my classes last semester on evangelism. This part we titled it Salt and Light. We moved from verse 13 to verse 16. I'll probably talk about salt today briefly, and then maybe next time also talk about light. And if I still have more time today, I might get to light today. Never can tell. Let's get to it. Salt. We all know what it's used for. If I ask you to tell me what salt is used for, you probably want to say something. What do you use salt for?
We use salt for so many things, for cooking, for preservation, you know. Salt is like important in the life of a lady in the kitchen. What do you think, guys?
Okay, so if you make a food and or if you make a meal and there's no salt in it, and it's kind of a meal that's supposed to have salt normally. I know there are stuffs that don't have salt in them, but if you make a meal that's supposed to have salt normally, let's say you've made a stew or a soup or something like that that should have salt in it, and there's no salt, how does it feel?
It feels tasteless and you know, a bit shaggy in the mouth, somehow in the mouth.
Okay,
yeah.
So we could say that salt brings taste to life. Salt kind of bring life to situations in life. Not to talk about the preservative power of salt. We know that salt is used for preservation and all that. Yeah. But when we cook, this is the example I gave my wife yesterday, and I'm going to tell you too. When we cook, we won't just stop at, oh, we have a salt at home. Our food should be good. Oh, we have a salt in the cupboard, or we have a salt shaker on the table. The food should be good enough. There's something must happen for that salt to be effective. Salt must come in contact with the food that we're using it for, whether to preserve it or to give it that taste we desire. There must be a contact with it, and that's one of the things I'll be talking to you about. Now, in that passage I read, it spoke about if salt should lose its taste. So, which means before salt can also be useful, salt must be potent. It must have that taste. It must have that taste. You know, when you see salt and maybe sugar in a container, not label, how do you know when it's salt? You have to taste it first. The salt that has no taste is no salt. You may be wondering, how can salt lose its taste? I also learned this last semester, like I was telling you. In Jesus' times, they probably don't use the kind of salt that we use. That we just say, oh, we already have, I'll call it granulated salt that we just sprinkle on food and all that. They probably use something like a stone, and the salt is in like a block in like a stone. And when they're making food or cooking or doing anything, they put it in a cloth and just swirl it in the water or in whatever they're making for some of the salt flavor to go into that food or to go into whatever they're using. And as time goes on, that stone of salt loses the taste gradually. That's why it's talking about when salt has lost its taste. So it is possible for a salt to lose its taste. Now, for you, believer, for me, and even generally in your career, in whatever you do, you can lose your taste when you are no longer relevant. You can lose your taste when your colleagues are moving forward, you stay in the same place. I worked in a bank for many years, and I know quite a number of people, when they get the job, they just stay on that level for so long, whether with first degree. Many years ago, in the bank that I worked back in Nigeria, many years ago, I think even before I joined, they used to recruit people at maybe with secondary school, living certificates and all kinds of certificates and all that. But people are just comfortable. I already have a job, and then I stayed there and I continued doing the usual thing, the regular thing from time to time. And then the time came and they felt, oh, no, all we want is fresh graduates. For some who had worked on their salt, not losing taste, they've developed themselves, they've taken many courses, they've gone to school to study more, they've done distant courses and all that. They escaped through. The bank retained them, while others who felt comfortable, oh, we're here, we've been here for 10 years, we've been here for 15 years, nothing has changed. They were sacked. They were asked to go. The same thing, losing your taste as a believer, it's about potency. It's about staying in the presence of God. You can say, yes, I've given my life to Christ, but it's not enough. You have to spend time in His presence. You have to spend time learning from Him, reading His word in prayer. You have to spend time in having a personal time. We often call it quiet time. And it's not something you do like, okay, I did my quiet time once in a week. Yeah. You don't do that to someone you love. If you claim to love Jesus or if you claim to love God, you want to know more about Him. Yeah. I want to know more daily about this madam here with me, because
I want to know more about you too.
because I tell her I love her almost every day. Okay, I really don't do that. But my action shows that I love her almost every day.
Love not only in words,
I try to do something to please her every day. And that's the way it is. You want to spend time in the presence of God. You want to spend time with Jesus. And that's where your potency comes from. That's the only way you won't lose your saltness. That's the only way you can be sharp. That's the only way you won't lose your taste. But not losing your taste is also not enough. Even though I want you to look at your life and see whether you've lost your taste, especially in your work with God. But also in your career, your chosen career, or in whatever you're doing, I want you to look into it and see whether you've lost your taste. Do you still have that competitive edge? I spoke with a friend sometimes ago. She was talking about getting tired of her job and trying to, change and look for another opportunity or opportunities elsewhere and all that. And I said, yes, it's good. But since you've been on this job, what have you achieved? What have you done for yourself? In what way have you improved yourself? And I told her, see, this is the first thing you do. You have to improve yourself before you start looking for opportunity elsewhere. Because this same certificate or this same qualification that got you this job, it's not just enough anymore. You have to build on it. And that's about losing your taste. That's not all that salt does. Imagine you having a salt in a salt shaker and having it on the table. And probably also you're eating fries. I learned that fries now, you have to put salt on fries to give it that taste. And you're eating fries and that fries is tasteless. Or you have a food. Or let's say my wife has made a soup or something.
Jollof rice.
No rice. I want to use like a soup or stew. Something you can still add salt to and just mix it up. Even while you're on the table. And I discovered that, you forgot to add something. Something is missing in this food. Salt. But now we have a salt shaker on the table. I should have even brought a salt shaker.
Yeah.
Salt is there. The salt is potent. And it's in the shaker. And I'm looking at it. This is salt. And this is my food. Is anything going to change? Nothing is going to change. No. For that salt to influence that food and give me the desired taste, that salt must come in contact with that food. Do you get it? That salt must go out of the shaker. Yes, it has not lost its taste. It is sharp. It is a nice salt. It is good. It can influence, it can preserve. But if it does not come in contact with the content it's to influence, nothing changes. It remains the same. And for so many of us as believers, we are like this. We don't come in contact with the people we're supposed to influence. We talk about salt of the earth. We are to influence our world. We are to change things.
Yeah.
Rather, we just point fingers. Yes, I've seen it. There are so many times we point fingers at the politicians, at those in politics. But we're not in contact. We're not there. If we're not there, we're not influencing. If we're not there, we cannot preserve. We cannot do anything. We cannot bring the change that we desire.
Yeah.
If you're not in the system, just keep pointing. Oh, those guys are very, very bad. No. You are the salt of the earth. And the only way you can make a difference is by coming in contact with that surface. If you think the people in politics are not doing well, come in contact with them. Go into it. Influence it by coming in contact with it. What about sharing the gospel? It's easy for you to condemn that lady on your street because you don't like her lifestyle. But you have not come in contact with her. You won't even greet her. You won't even make a friend with her. You won't want to be seen walking on the street with her. How would you influence that life? We need to start coming in contact with situations that we want to influence. We need to start coming in contact with reality in our world. We've seen what has been happening all over the world in the last few weeks. Black Lives Matter here and there and there. We need to start coming in contact to bring that desired change. We talk about equity and justice and equality, or whatever name you've heard in the last few weeks now. We need to bring a change. And the only way is by being the salt of the earth. Coming in contact with situation. Come in contact with your neighbor. That person that you think needs Christ, be their friend. Come in contact with them. Be their friend. That person that you think is not doing well academically, come in contact with them. Walk side by side with them. That's the way you can influence them. Even on your job. Yes, you've gotten the certificate. You are good. Imagine you keeping your certificate at home and not talking about it. Come in contact with those who are in need of you. Look for those opportunities and come in contact. Let them know what you can do. In coming in contact, that's the only way we can influence. Just the same way salt in a shaker makes no difference, except it comes in contact with the food. Next time you hear me, I'll be talking about the light and maybe about Zacchaeus. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, dear. And this reminds me, as Jesus is our perfect example. Jesus, regardless of your background, he went ahead to look for us. He sought us out and he picked us. He chose us. You are the chosen one. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you so much, sweet.
You're welcome.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.